Today I have a treat especial, the cheapest 3D printing pen on Aliexpress, made out of only the finest Chinesium. Most people who I've seen use these things are artists, but I thought that maybe you could use this for structural stuff. Since I'm an author, let's see what the package contains. We have two manuals, one in Chinese and one that kind of resembles English. It's possible to decipher the basic operation of the pen from the English-like manual, but it does contain references to, for example, a blue LED that is supposed to come on once the preheating is done. This thing does not have any blue LEDs. The next thing is the 3D printing pen itself. Under the thinnest plastic I've ever seen, we have some filament that you can test your pen with, a almost useless printing stand, and the power cable that you're supposed to use with this thing. Let's get to the problem that this thing had when I originally got it, by plugging it in, turning it on, letting it heat up, and trying a test print with it. And now that we have reached the proper temperature, a green light appears, and we can then use this. We'll just insert the PLA from the back orifice and then press forward, and it's supposed to start loading it. And it makes nice sounds while doing it. And we're going to turn off autofocus because it doesn't work. And now we get to the problem that this device has, which is that once you've actually loaded up the filament, then you get a tiny amount that comes out from the front, and once it comes out, it then stops. So if I try again, a small amount comes out, and the rest of it stops. After a bit of an investigation, I found out what the problem was. Turns out that the gearbox the pen uses to push the filament through starts skipping immediately when it actually encounters resistance. And this is due to the shoddy construction and the fact that the gearbox is not getting enough pressure. So we were going to fix this with the fanciest and most advanced way possible, by jamming some cardboard inside of the pen. Now that our high-tech repairs are complete, we can then try it on a scrap piece that I have, and we're going to try to put PLA on some other PLA and see how well it sticks. To my uneducated eye, this actually looks good, and it seems that it's sticking well. So, time to test if we can make some structural repairs with this. Here we have two failed prints. Let's try to weld them together and see how well they perform. And as we can see with the provided filament, if we try to use that to fuse together it with the Purkkaviritys vanilla white, it doesn't really work. Let's see if we can do better if we use Purkkaviritys on Purkkaviritys. Here I'm using some Purkkaviritys Galaxy Black on some vanilla white, and I'm taking some extra time to make sure that the welds are nice and clean. So we'll see how well that goes. It would seem that using filament from one manufacturer seems to result in better holding joints, but still it comes apart. The joints are not very good. The reason is probably that the welding seam is not hot enough, and thus it's not fusing with the host objects, and as such the holding potential is not as good as it could be if it was. On to the next test. Can we fill voids with the molten stuff and then sand that down and then have a uniform object? Now that the voids have been filled, let's try sanding it. Remember, when you're sanding PLA, you may want to use water, because otherwise PLA heats up and the sanding doesn't really work. Now that the part has been sanded down, we can see that it actually blends in quite nicely. It doesn't show up as well when we're using black and white as the filament colors. However, this is a possible way of fixing stuff, with fixing voids before you paint stuff, so that if the paint is then scratched, then the fixing material is, for example, black instead of something else, so that the damage is not as easily seen. However, the bonding strength still isn't that good, so the usefulness of the pen is questionable at best. So would I buy this if I knew this already? No, not really. I guess that's $10 that I'm never getting back. However, if you for some odd reason want to get one for yourself, then there will be a link in the video description where you can find one. Thank you for watching, and I hope this has been useful for you, because it certainly wasn't for me.